Morning, this is Brian. Today is Thursday, June 6, 2024, and I'm over here at the Grassy Hollow Visitor Center here in Angeles National Forest. I am back in my beloved San Gabriel Mountains. Now, in the last 3 days, including today, I've hiked in 3 different mountain ranges. Well, I will have hiked in 3 different mountain ranges by the time I've gotten started on this one. So, Tuesday I was in the San Jacinto Mountains up to Taquish Peak. Yesterday I went up to Onyx Peak in the San Bernardino Mountains. And now I'm thinking about trying to get to possibly both Vincent Gap Peak and Jackson Flat. If not, Jackson Flat will be today's hike. I've been to Vincent Gap Peak once back in 2019, and I've been to Jackson Flat twice. Once in 2019 and once in 2015, a long time ago. So today I'm going to go, as I'm stretching my legs a little bit, I'm going to go look for the PCT and start hiking towards Jackson Flat. Jackson Flat can be reached via PCT and a use trail. Jackson Flat is actually right up there. That's Jackson Flat. Pretty short hike from here, and there's another similarly elevated peak behind it, and it's unofficially named Vincent Gap Peak because it lies right above Vincent Gap. It kind of forms a saddle between Vincent Gap is the saddle between where Vincent Gap Peak and Jackson Flat, and this is part of Blue Ridge, by the way. So it kind of right down there is where Vincent Gap is, about down that way, and that's kind of between Blue Ridge and, of course, the mighty Mount Baden-Powell. It's been more than 6.5 years since I've been up there. I was almost going to try to do a hike from Dawson Saddle to Mount Baden-Powell, which is actually my preferred way to do it, because I've done it via the Pacific Crest Trail down at Vincent Gap, doing the 41 switchbacks, or how many ever, about 41 switchbacks up to the Summit Use Trail to the top. And I've also done it from Dawson Saddle. And away from Dawson Saddle is a little bit less elevation gain, but you get to visit a few other peaks along the way. So I remember filming that. But I lost the footage for that. Somehow I lost the footage for that, and really disappointed because I could have made a video out of that. I'm really disappointed in that. Well, I'm going to go ahead and look for the PCT and get started on this. Just watching 2 male western fence lizards fight each other. Now it looks like I kind of distracted them. These guys are fighting each other right before I got able to get the camera out. That's crazy. They literally were scrapping right here on the edge of the log. They knocked each other down to here, and I couldn't get the camera out fast enough. So they're western fence lizards. Very territorial displays between these males fighting each other. There we go. Territorial head bob display. Sceliporus occidentalis longipes. Great Basin western fence lizard. Handsome male, too. Sorry about the pine needles in the way, but what a handsome lizard. They were head bobbing and fighting each other. I wish I could have got to the camera a little more quickly. Pretty crazy. Big western fence lizard. It looked like 3 of them were fighting at once. And then 2. Then I came up a little bit closer, and then there was 2 of them, and then 2 of them fell off of the log. So what I'm going to do is, before I get started on this hike, I'm going to use the restroom and just get ready. Pre-hydrating today. All right, so I'm going to go drop my backpack off here at the picnic table. And then use the restroom quickly and then start hiking. I drove in from Big Bear. Thought I was going to be able to connect on the 138 from Lake Arrowhead. Ended up going the wrong way on the 138. Ended up down in San Bernardino. So I had to get on the 210 from the 18, the 210, and then up to 215 to 15. So it took me quite a while to get here this morning, but I see my PCT up ahead, so time to go ahead and get ready for another hike in the San Gabriels. My first hike in the San Gabriels in a while. All right, so the PCT is just up here, so I'm just going to start following that. It's going to wind me around. It's going to get me pretty close to Jackson Flat, and then kind of where this meadow area is where I'm going to leave that and start heading along a use trail that follows the meadow. First, before I head out, look at that big Jeffrey pine. Oh, beautiful tree. A massive Jeffrey pine right here. We got some big Jeffrey pines in the area. But I have been to this area before. I have gone to Jackson Flat via Grassy Hollow. And this hike's going to be a little bit shorter today. Not going to be as long as the ones I did in the San Bernardino Mountains. But I just had to stop by this place. But one tree I remember from the last time I was here is this old, this thing must have been really tall back in the day, but this old growth white fir right here. This is an absolute oldie and most certainly a goodie. So I remember last time I saw this big white fir, and it has an absolutely gargantuan base. I just remember this tree from last time, and I just was wilding out the first time I saw this one by Grassy Hollow. Well, yeah, this is an absolutely massive Abies concolor white fir. So just had to stop by and take a look at that. So now what I'm going to do is join the PCT, start working my way up. Here's a younger white fir here. So I'll see you on the next clip. He's just up here. Alright, so I'm at the PCT. That's southbound, but I'm going to be heading this way towards Jackson Flat. This is a pretty hike. So let's get into it. A lot of bugs today. So when you come out, be prepared. This time of year, lots of bugs. So yeah, we got this beautiful forest here. Predominantly Jeffrey pine and white fir. Whew, this part's steep. We're in the general area where some of the larger trees in Angeles National Forest grow. Big Pines area, then down Cooper and Little Rock Creek Canyon, a lot of which were destroyed in the Bobcat fire of 2020, unfortunately. Which is unfortunate, of course. Beautiful over here. So let's see if I make it all the way to Vincent Gap Peak. We'll see. So today's my last hiking day. Tomorrow's my transition day. My last day off is tomorrow. Transition to going back to work. Not looking forward to it. I've had some pretty amazing moments during this short vacation. Not a full week. I only took my normal 2 days off, padded on both sides by 3 paid time off days. So I didn't take a full week. Usually I reserve that for October. Usually it's October where I take the full vacation. So, and that's when I usually travel further and go out to the Sierras and stuff like that. We'll see what happens this year. But meanwhile, back in a former haunt of mine, really almost feels surreal because I haven't hiked in the San Gabriel Mountains. I haven't done a true hike in the San Gabriel Mountains since the end of April 2022 when I hiked up Pacifico Mountain from Alder Saddle. Yeah, Alder Saddle. Hiked up Pacifico Mountain that way. And I did stop by in October 2022 after I'd moved to San Diego County on my vacation on my way to see my friend. I did stop off because I could pass through the Angeles National Forest to get to his house all the way up in Kern County. I did stop by for a short video. That video is up. It's from October 2022 when I stopped by on my way to my friend's house in Kern County. I just stop off and shoot some video near Big Pines. Not that far from here, down a little bit, short distance down Big Pines Highway, just to enjoy the beautiful vibes. And that was autumn, so leaves were changing over there, so that felt pretty good. Yeah. Visiting all of the western wallflowers. Beautiful. All these western wallflowers are the yellow ones. They're blooming pretty hard up here too. So I've been seeing them in the Laguna Mountains, blooming pretty well. In the San Jacinto Mountains, the San Bernardino Mountains, and over here in the San Gabriels, our western wallflowers are in tip-top glory right now, making this a delightful hike. And it's warm. It's very warm out right now. It's well into the 70s. Down at Wrightwood, it's supposed to be in the mid-80s today. Big Bear, mid-80s. So the hike I did yesterday, I got a relatively early start on it. Today, I was hoping to get an early start. I left Big Bear around 5:30 a.m. I was trying to drive through the mountain towns to get here, but again, ended up going the wrong way on 138, and I'm going down 18 towards San Bernardino. So, unfortunately, it made it take a lot longer. So I drove through Arrowhead, Blue Jay, Crestline, trying to get to the 138 west. I think I accidentally got, and then trying to, so I think I was going the wrong way. I must have been going the wrong way on 138 because I headed towards 18, and then in the middle of traffic, I'm not going to try to stop and do an unsafe maneuver. So I just had to take the L and head down the mountain. Got on the 210 to the 215 to the 15 to the 138 at exit 131, just north of Cleghorn, the Cleghorn exit. So had to take a brief L. Now I'm back in the game, and I'm feeling that this is a W because I am back in the beloved San Gabriel Mountains. This is one of my favorite places in the San Gabriel Mountains. San Gabriel Mountains are one of my favorite mountain ranges, probably because I've had so much good memory, so many good memories here. Just really enjoyed the hikes I've done here. And I'll get to this nearly as often. In fact, this is the first, like I said, this is the first hike in over 2 years here in the Angeles. My first true hike since Pacifico Mountain. That was kind of my farewell, because I was about a week and a half before I moved, a week and a half, 2 weeks before I moved from Orange County to Santee in San Diego County. Yeah, it's June in the mountains. A lot of times we get an early season early season hot spell around this time, usually in June. We usually get an early season hot spell. Then sometimes it calms down a little bit, and in July it's more prevalent. But yeah, we usually get a warm spell in the mountains. The coastal side of the mountains, well, closer to the coast, like where I live in Santee, places like Anaheim, Los Angeles, should have some moderating effect of the marine layer. Ooh, there's a beautifully vibrant western scrub jay. I think it's gone though, before I could get a good image of it. It was very vibrantly blue. All right, well, I think my battery's going to run out soon. I don't think I'm going to make this a 2-hour video, but I don't think that's going to be this long. But if I go all the way to Vincent Gap Peak, it'll probably be a longer video. So I'll see you on the next clip as I'm heading along the PCT near Big Pines and Grassy Hollow Visitor Center. So, as we make our way here down the PCT, what's going to happen is the PCT is going to merge with the Jackson Flat area service road. So what's going to happen is we're going to briefly join this paved road for a very short while, and then over where that hill starts up again is where we're going to leave the road and continue on the Pacific Crest Trail, or PCT. There's a trail called the Pine Cone Trail. Never heard of this one. All right, that could be something to check out another time I'm here. Today I'm not planning on making an extremely long outing, but I definitely needed to stop by here. I had some goals in mind to hike in the San Bernardino Mountains. Unfortunately, well, only partially unfortunately, I had to change those plans due to a road closure. My plans were to hike the San Jacintos on Tuesday, hike the San Bernardino Mountains yesterday, and try to make a little time to clip the awesome San Gabriel range. And here I am. So here we are. We're going to leave the road again to continue on the northbound PCT. We got some phenomenal views out towards the Antelope Valley. And we're on the top of Jackson Flat. It's very heavily wooded up there, so you won't see really see too many views up there. Vincent Gap Peak is also fairly well wooded too, so I think the advantage of the wooded summits is to take a break in the shade, because it's very pretty. They're both pretty summits. Ooh, a side blotch lizard. Western side blotch lizard. Yeah, it's just so great to be in the beautiful mountains. To start a new memory card. Kind of figured I'd run out of room soon enough on the one I had, because the one I used yesterday, most of that was, or at least part of it was the Onyx Peak and random summit hike I did yesterday. There goes another side blotch lizard. There, Western side blotch lizard, Uta Stansburiana elegans. So, yeah, I'm on my third memory card, I believe. I think I'm on my 3rd memory card. Yeah, I did film a fair amount of video this week. The video I did going up to Taquash Peak, another side blotch lizard, giving me a little head bob display. Is that a side blotch lizard? Yeah, that's like a side blotch lizard. Side blotch lizards, some of them can look very similar to sagebrush lizards. They can be very similar to each other. But yeah, the video, I mean, I haven't uploaded any of this yet because I'm usually unplugged. When I go on my vacations, I don't even take my computer with me. I just take books to read, and I usually stay in a motel and I just watch TV till I go to bed, usually after I eat. But I'm gonna have a lot of video to upload, so it's gonna take a while. I got 3 hikes and another plant related videos. Here's a peak I wanted to climb one day. This one in the far distant, that's called Big John Benchmark over there. It's not officially named peak, but there's supposed to be a benchmark that says Big John on it. Now just like 6,033 feet. Wanted to try to get a hike up to that one day. It's that ridge. Just barely clipped 6,000 feet at the very top. Would be pretty cool to check that out one day. But now, my hikes in the San Gabriel's are going to be fewer and further between. However, when I do take another one of these shorter vacations, I'm probably going to focus my energy more towards the San Gabriel Mountains. Maybe bunk up somewhere. Maybe get a room in Idlewild. I mean, Idlewild. Wrightwood. Get a room in Wrightwood or something like that. Maybe get a room in Wrightwood. Or near the Cajon Pass. Near where the 138 and 15 meet. Maybe get a cheap motel room there and just head up the mountain in the morning. Here we are. Stellar jays are going crazy. So now we're getting back into the forest a little bit. I love the sound of those Stellar jays. They just sound so satisfying. They're so cool to hear when you're out and about hiking. So yeah, looks like we're going to round this hill here. Then it's going to go up towards a plateau. Then it's going to become a little more open and exposed again. And then I'm going to have to find a use trail and work my way up to the summit. At the summit, there's some kind of a weird lookout tower. Every time I've been there, this will be my 3rd time. Every time I've been there, it's been closed, but I've seen other people's videos where they actually get to climb up into it. If I climb up into it, great. If not, at least I visited the summit. It's been a few years since I've been to Jackson Flat. It's been since 2019. Whew, steep switchback. All right, well, keep working my way up this. Keep you posted on my progress. So after that switchback, got this switchback here, so we get really close to the road again. So all I'm gonna do is make a switchback up here. Start heading up. Now we got 2 fence lizards here. Look how close I can get to them. Head bob displays again, or push-ups. All right, keep working my way up this. Ooh, a western whiptail. Another western whiptail. I don't know if that got too well on camera. 2 western whiptails. Oh, that's cool. That's so cool. I don't see those super often. But I love my lizards. Believe me, I love my lizards. Love my herps. Reptiles and amphibians. All right. And there's a sagebrush lizard right there. Sceliporus vandenbergianus. So there's seeing at least 4 different species of lizards on this short hike so far. So the herping out here looks pretty good. I thought I saw maybe what might have been the edge of a snake wiggle into the brush, but I couldn't get a good look at it. Probably was a lizard, but I'm not sure. All right, see you on the next clip. All right, looks like it's time for the next stop on the PCT Jackson Flat area botanical tour. So we got spearleaf agaceris, or spearleaf mountain dandelion, blooming up here. This is Agaceris retrorsa. Retrorsa referring to the bent back lobes of the leaves. You can see the narrow lobes kind of bend backwards. It's Agaceris retrorsa. Spearleaf agaceris, or spearleaf mountain dandelion. And then right next to it is wavy leaf paintbrush, Castanea applegate subspecies martinii. So yeah. And then we got Sierra gooseberry, Ribes roselee, variety roselee, blooming. And a nice beautiful white fir sapling. And then what else is blooming over here? Mountain whitethorn, Ceanothus cordulatus, which is giving off a little bit of a slight perfumey aroma right now. That's blooming too. Great time to be in the mountains, especially for wildflower watching. Whereas the lowlands are fading out to summer brown, up here, the flowers are blooming. We gotta see what type of larkspurs we have growing up here. These are delphiniums, or delphinium species, larkspurs. There are a couple of species that have purplish bluish flowers like that. One of them is Delphinium perryi, which I saw recently at Mount Laguna up on the top of Hayes Peak in the Laguna Range. It's definitely getting warm out here. Here's another wildflower. This is called buck lotus. So Saccia crassifolia, variety crassifolia. It's getting ready to bloom. Saw some in the other 2 mountain ranges that were already opening up. Probably won't be that much longer before they open up here. And looks like we got prickly poppy. Hasn't started opening up yet. This is our Gemini monita. It'll have a large fried egg looking white flower. Probably in a few weeks. Look at all these Jeffrey pines. It's been a little over 5 years since I've been here. These Jeffrey pine saplings are really getting bigger. It's great to see. Very nice to see. It's a nice patch of wavy leaf paintbrush here too. A lot of it around here. It's pretty common here in the San Gabriels. Very buggy out here today. Lots of flies and gnats. Not so much to ruin the vibe for me. I'm up here in the lovely mountains, so that's what I like. Yeah, so beautiful here. Absolutely fantastic. All right, well, see you on the next clip. Well, I can see Jackson Lake down below. A lot more water in it than the last time I was by it. Back in, I think 2021 was the last time I was by Jackson Lake. There's a lot more water in it now. Back then, it was a drought. The last two winter seasons brought a lot more rain, especially the previous one, before the one we just finished. Had a lot of precipitation, especially a lot of snowfall here in the mountains in 2002, 2023. Incredible how much snow fell in the mountains. All right, so I guess what I'm going to do, start taking this use trail here to the left. This should get me up towards Jackson Flat pretty soon, because PCT continue around the back side. This is where you kind of have to look around for the trail a little bit. Seems like some maintenance has been done over here. It's kind of a meandering path, is what I remember. Kind of meanders its way around this patch of mountain whitethorn chaparral over here. Kind of meanders its way. It's not a very direct route, but this will get us closer to Jackson Flat summit. Right now we're kind of heading away from it, but just a little patience. Just a little patience here. Shouldn't have that much more climbing to do. So actually, a couple stretches of the PCT are kind of steep. All right. So we are kind of meandering around. Almost looks kind of aimless in a way, but like I said, there is a trail here, and it should eventually start winding its way towards Jackson Flat. And then shortly before we get to the summit, we should be getting more in the woods. See, like I said, now we're starting to head towards it. Pine trees are really growing very healthy. These young Jeffrey pines are really doing great. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and cut around the fallen snag here. So now we're on an unofficial trail right now. Just to remind you, this is not the PCT anymore. All right. Kind of glad we're getting more in the shade. It is definitely warming up quite a bit out here today. Not that I'm surprised. So I want to start this a little earlier. Getting turned around a couple times. Kind of stopped me in my tracks. All right. See you along the way. Should be nearing the summit relatively soon, I believe. Oh, it's over there. Yeah, I was thinking, there's no way we're at the summit. This must actually be a nature trail or something. Here's Angeles Crest Highway, snaking its way through, and that's over towards Grassy Hollow. Grassy Hollow. There's the PCT. I came down that, went around there, and then went up behind that knoll. So yeah, we should be coming up on the summit area relatively soon. But it looks like there's an old nature trail or something here. Looks like parts of it receive some maintenance. It's easy to follow. I mean, it's a pretty obvious pathway in the middle of the soil. So we are kind of in the meadow part before the summit. Should start angling uphill pretty soon. It's been a while since I've been up here, but it should take us near the summit. When I get near where the tower is, I'll just break off and walk up to it. There's actually there are actually picnic tables and stuff on Jackson Flat, so it's supposed to be a campground up there too. But yeah, now we're starting to head towards it. The tower is just behind those trees in the center. Won't really see it very well on camera, but we are heading towards it right now. Like I said, it's a very meandering path. I don't know if this trail has a name. I think it might actually be a nature trail. It's like there were old interpretive displays here at some point. There's nothing on them anymore, I don't think. But I think there's more trail on the other side, if I remember correctly, that had some old interpretive displays. All right, so should be at the summit within a couple minutes. I'll see you when I'm just about there. Just got to keep following this up to the top. All right, just about to summit Jackson Flat. What the heck kind of lizard was that? All right. All right. Well, this is it. Jackson Flat. It's about 7,560 to 7,600 feet above sea level. It's the little tower I was talking about. I'm assuming it's probably going to be closed, but I'll go over there in a minute and see. It's always been closed every time I've been here. Up until now, let's see. I'm gonna assume it is. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's been closed every time I've been here. And there's a picnic site just down there where you'll see the paved road. Could have just hiked up the paved road to get up here, but if I have the opportunity to hike on a nice beautiful trail instead, it actually made it probably a little more challenging and more pockets of shade. So this is it, Jackson Flat, 7,560, 7,600 feet roughly. It's cool to be back up here again. It's been a few years. Actually been a little over 5 years. So yeah, very nice. I'm going to see how much longer it takes to get to Vincent Gap Peak. Then after that, it'll be about time for me to start packing out and head back home. Got a long ride through the Cajon Pass all the way down to San Diego County. So yeah, it's nice to be back up here again. I'm not going to be able to point out too many views, unfortunately. Like I said, it's very forested here, which in its own way, it's actually a treat on a very warm day like today. So I'll take it. But I'm going to go ahead and poke around and after I get my summit selfie. And let's see. go ahead and try to point out whatever views I can point out, because we do have a few views of some nearby awesomeness. Here we go. There's majestic Mount Baden-Powell as we're looking more towards the southwest. That's Mount Baden-Powell right there at 9,399 feet. Some people say 9,406. And I still see a few little fingers of snow down some of those really steep gullies. So now we're going to be looking more towards the southeast over here. Actually, let me get on the other side of these trees momentarily. So I can really get better views of what I want to point out here. All right, so we're looking more towards the south and southeast. What we got here is Iron Mountain #1 in the Sierra Club. Call it Iron Mountain #1. It's the highest iron mountain in the Sierra Club. That's the Big Bad Iron Mountain. That's one of the harder peaks to climb here in Southern California at 8,007 feet. Then we got San Antonio Ridge there at just above 7,700 feet. And then as we're swinging a little more east of south, so we're more southeast now, we get a great view of Mount San Antonio right there, aka Mount Baldy. The little hump on the right is West Baldy at 9,988 feet. Then that right there is Mount San Antonio at 10,064 feet. And then there we got Pine Mountain, 9,648 feet. Been up on top of that one once before. Don't think I have the footage of it anymore. It was all photos. I didn't shoot video on that one, unfortunately, but that was a tough one to climb, I'm not gonna lie. It's beautiful up there though. And the views up there are absolutely redonkulous. You'll love the views up there, I'm telling you. And then there's Blue Ridge right there at just about 8,480 feet to 8,520. On the top of that is supposed to be Frost Benchmark. Been up there twice, but I've never found the benchmarks. And then behind it is the Mountain High Ski Area. So now we're looking more towards the east, and that's looking over towards Table Mountain over there. That's the Table Mountain area. And then you can kind of see where I was earlier in the San Bernardino Mountains off in the haze. So now, then we got the mountains of the Mojave Desert out to the northeast. So at least you can get some views up here. Just gotta know where to walk, so you can get some good views. Yeah, beautiful. And then, of course, this one ridge, that's called Pine Mountain Ridge. And there's a small, shallow summit up there called Pine Mountain Ridge. It might be an HPS, I'm not sure. It might be an HPS summit, and that's about 7,400 something feet. I wanted to do that one day. I'd have to probably come up from Lupine Campground. I'd probably maybe backpack that one, because I don't have a four-wheel drive to get down to Lupine Campground down below. But, yeah, and then that little bump right next to Mount San Antonio or Mount Baldy, that little bump right there is Mount Harwood at 9,552 feet. So I guess what I'm going to do is get an electrolyte drink and start plotting my potential. I'm gonna try to go for it. See how much energy I have to go for it. I'm gonna try to go for Jackson Flats Sibling Peak, unofficially named Vincent Gap Peak. That'll be my second time up there, but I've never combined the two in one hike. The first time I did Jackson Flat, I could have, but I didn't even realize there was a summit there. Yeah, a lot of lizards out today. I'm loving it. Oh, another one. There's western fence lizards now. All right, time to sit down and take a drink. Time to start moving on. All right, so what I got to do now is see if I can navigate myself back to the PCT without having to go do that roundabout craziness right there. think what I can do is I could follow the road for a while. This is just the little picnic area slash campground access path here. But what I want to do is rejoin the PCT and start heading more towards the direction of Mount Baden-Powell, which is towards Vincent Gap area. Now the bugs are getting really crazy right now. Getting really annoying. They're just swarming around my face. Actually, I should work. Oh, there we go. Jackson Flat Observation Tower. It's not a water tower, so I mean it has steps going up it, but it's always closed when I come here. All right, so I think what I might end up doing is either looking for the PCT cross country here, or hoofing it along the road, because it should cross the road at some point. So I'll have to take a look and see. I think it crosses the road again up ahead. So I am actually going to take a little time to look around and do that. I mean, I could follow the paved road and then go up the PCT further up, but I want to see if I can do it this way. Let's see where this dirt track leads here. If it leads to the PCT, then I'll go ahead and take this, then we'll see. I'll take a look and see. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn right here. The actual Jackson Flat paved road is right over there. So if this doesn't pan out, which I'm pretty sure it will, I can always backtrack. So my next destination, Vincent Gap Peak. So I've never actually been down this far, down the other side of Jackson Flat summit. Well, I think, at one time, I think I did intercept the PCT further along that paved road, actually, and then hiked this way on the PCT, and then turned on that little nature trail, or whatever that is, that one that kind of meanders its way slowly around the meadow and chaparral area out there. So I should be able to intersect the PCT if I keep following this, because I'm heading down the other side of Jackson Flat, and the PCT goes around this side of Jackson Flat. Then it works its way over towards near where Vincent Gap Peak is. So this is actually a campground area right here. Beautiful campground. This would be a great place to stay. But a lot of times it's closed when I'm here. So I don't know. But I'm gonna keep looking around and see if I can find the Pacific Crest Trail or PCT. Might be able to intercept it on the backside of this campground is what I'm hoping. And thinking will probably happen. We'll see. Let's see what this little sign is here. It's probably a directional sign. Oh, exit. All right. Keep you posted, see if I can find the PCT pretty soon. All right, so I'm out at the back of the campground. So it looks like there's a use trail here. So I'm gonna follow this and see if this gets me to the PCT. Looks like, yeah, there's a use trail here. Usually around campgrounds, you'll see signs for it, so I'm gonna keep an eye out for the little National Scenic Trail emblem, that kind of rounded triangle shaped thing. It usually indicates that you're at the PCT. So let's see. Yeah, I see a trail down there. It should be the PCT. Vincent Gap Peak should be up towards that way. Shouldn't be a super far distance from here, but it'll definitely add a nice little extra bit to this nice little adventure I'm taking today. But I do kind of see where the PCT is. I'm going to be heading towards that forest. I remember when I did Jackson Flat the first time, I took the PCT past Jackson Flat and then doubled back on that trail out in the open that I veered to amble my way towards Jackson Flat summit. Alright. Should be happening upon the PCT relatively soon, I believe. I did see a trail snaking its way that way. So let's see. This is definitely not an official trail here. This looks like just a use trail, kind of cutting through the woods here. Yeah, bugs are getting a lot worse right now, actually, probably because I'm sweating a lot more. And it is a warm day today, I'll tell you. All right. Yeah, here's the PCT right here, actually. No sign for it, but I know this is the PCT because it cuts around the backside of Jackson Flat. So let's see. So on my way back, I'll be most likely going this way if I stay on the trail, which is probably more likely what's going to happen. So I'm going to be heading towards that nice dense forest over there. So I'm looking forward to that. Be out in the nice shade pretty soon. So I'm going to keep ambling my way over there. If I remember correctly, I think there's some pretty big sugar pine in that area too. There might be some decent sized sugar pines in there. So we'll see. All right, so we are now in the forest again, and it is packed and gorgeous. Ooh, and there's California black oak. Yeah, they don't grow much further west in the San Gabriel Mountains than this. To see them again in LA County, you got to go over above Lake Hughes up in Liebre Mountain. I thought there would be sugar pine over here. Oh, maybe I haven't gone far enough. Doesn't matter. It's beautiful over here. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's absolutely stupendous over here. A lot of beautiful Jeffrey pine and white fir, making a really outstandingly beautiful forest here. Yeah, this is gorgeous here. And these Jeffrey pines are starting to get pretty big too. And there's not even old growth trees. These are not even old trees either. Wow, yeah, this is gorgeous here. This is absolutely stupendous. This is what it's all about right here. I love being in the tall forest. It is such an unbelievably refreshing experience to be here right now. San Gabriel's do have a lot of stands of Jeffrey pine and white fir, but a lot of times sugar pine will mix in too. Yeah, this is totally where I needed to go today. Needed to get another one of these beautiful hikes in. So I gotta go look to see where I am in relation to Vincent Gap Peak, which I think that's it up there. I think that's the area over there, so I do have a little ways to go. Yeah, I think Vincent Gap Peak is up that way somewhere, if I remember correctly. It's in that direction. It's in this direction on the PCT. But when I get to a certain point, I am going to have to leave the trail and go cross country, probably close to where the trail's going to summit before it starts dropping down towards Vincent Gap. So I'll look for a way to head up that way when I'm over in the vicinity. It'll take some time to just ensure that, and just be sure to just enjoy this beautiful forest here. These are some magnificent white firs and Jeffrey pines here. Beautiful stately trees. Look at that white fir right there. That's a beauty. That's looking over towards Pinion Ridge. Did a hike up to that once from Vincent Gap. Vincent Gap is slightly higher than Pinion Ridge at 6,580 feet or so. Then you got to climb over a 6,900 foot pass. Then you go down to about 6,400 feet or 6,300 feet, and then you got to climb up to the summit's at 6,535. Been up there once, lost the footage of that. Oh, and we got something big coming up. We got a massive Jeffrey pine coming up right now. Oh, wow, this is a big tree. This is a big Jeffrey pine. Yeah, they can get huge here in the Angeles. For the most part, the Angeles National Forest, the trees are a little bit smaller because it is a drier mountain range than, say, the San Bernardinos. But there are parts here where it's a little wetter, where these trees get massive. This is a huge Jeffrey pine. This is a massive tree right here. This is an absolute stunner. And it's got some serious girth to it. That is what I am talking about. And they don't call the area Big Pines for nothing. And I did see a big sugar pine too. It's kind of behind these trees, but yeah, these Jeffrey pines are tall. These ones are not even really that girthy. They're just tall. Yeah, there's a big sugar pine right there. But I've seen them even bigger than that here. But that is a pretty big tree, regardless. That is a big sugar pine. It's a very healthy, narrow crowned sugar pine, so it might still be exhibiting some serious upward growth. Yeah, that's a beautiful sugar pine right there. Pinus lambertiana. What a magnificent tree. I've definitely been enjoying sugar pines during my days off. Double slide trail. Areas where sugar pine is the dominant conifer, by far the dominant conifer in parts of that. So if you want to see sugar pine, yeah, that's where you got to go. Okay, so I think what I need to do is, I need to get over there, if I remember correctly. I think. So let's see. There is going to be an area. Yeah, I think it's going to be over there. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah, this is some of the most beautiful forest scenery here in the Angeles National Forest. Big pines, Grassy Hollow area. There's some magnificent tree specimens growing here. And then down at Buckhorn Campground, and some of those trees did burn in the Bobcat fire. If you go further down the Burkhart Trail, it was mostly decimated actually. So if you go down, a lot of the really large old growth conifer forest was burnt in 2020, unfortunately. There's another beautiful black oak, Quercus Kellogii. I thought I saw, looked like I saw somewhere around there. Looked like there was an absolute gargantuan white fir. So I'm hoping the trail gets close enough to see it. Here's another trail spur right here. Yeah, I'm on the PCT. I don't know where that's coming up from. That might actually come up from Jackson Lake. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Never taken that trail before. But I'm actually on the Pacific Crest Trail. I shouldn't be going downhill like that. So yeah, I am on the right trail. I think I'm right near where the road meets. I think the road is just over this little notch. So I'm going to follow this. I mean, I could follow the road. It'll take me near it'll take me back to the PCT. But I do remember this is where the road and the PCT meet up together. I'm going to stay on the PCT because I'm going to round the back side of Vincent Gap Peak, and then I'm going to head cross country up the slope at a good trail departure point. So I'll see you on my next clip. Alright, so I haven't really moved on since my last clip yet. You see the top of that tree right there? That's the top of a massive Jeffrey pine. Look how large the top of the tree is. It's the top of it's dead, but there's still a lot of growth on it. So I can only imagine if the trunk is that big, that high up, that tree must have some absolute monster girth. That looks like an old growth tree that might have made it past the logging era. Yeah, it looks like there's an absolute gargantuan Jeffrey pine down there. Absolutely monster tree down there. It lost a lot of its height when its top got damaged, probably by lightning. But yeah, that might actually be one of the girthiest Jeffrey pines. I can't see it up close because it's way down the canyon. That's crazy. That thing looked like it was enormous. Looked like it would have been bigger than most of the ponderosa pines I've seen in the San Bernardino Mountains, and they get huge there. That's a big Jeffrey pine. Yeah, there's some magnificently big trees in this part of the San Gabriel Mountains. I love it. I'm loving this. This is gorgeous scenery here. You really can't beat this. Yeah, I think the road is just over this berm here. I think. Might take that on the way back, depending on my mood. Just to vary it up a little bit, but yeah. Well, there's even an incense cedar. We're getting close to their elevational limit. I think what we're going to do is we're going to keep winding our way around, and then we're going to wrap around the hillside. And then once we wrap around the hillside on the, I think the northwest side of it, is where I'm going to break off the trail to climb up to the peak. So that's what I did last time. Is I came up from Vincent Gap, and then before rounding, because the PCT comes up from Vincent Gap, comes up, and then it rounds the west side of Vincent Gap Peak, and then it right before it tops out is where I left the trail and headed roughly east cross country for the last little bit to the summit. So I'm probably going to be doing this in reverse. So we'll see. Keep you posted. Oh boy. This used to be a fantastically massive Jeffrey pine. What a shame that it's gone. I wouldn't be surprised if the tree I saw down the canyon that I was pointing out with the big snag top was even bigger than this, or girthier than this. It looked like it had a second leader. So it must have got knocked off in the storm and then regrew another leader. Used to be an absolute massive Jeffrey pine. Jeffrey pine can get very large. Not quite as large as ponderosa, of course, but Jeffrey pines. If you look at my ode video, I recorded an ode video the previous day in the San Bernardino Mountains, where I was next to some very large Jeffrey pines there as well, near Big Bear Lake, right at the Grassy Peak trailhead. If you want to see that ode video to Jeffrey pine, that's where I look at some monster specimens there, but none of them had the girth that that tree had, or likely the one down that canyon would have had either. So let's see. So we're still heading in a relatively western direction right now. So once we're going to should start curving around. I don't think there's really any higher terrain. I think this is where we're going to start curving. I'm going to be getting ready to make my cross-country climb very soon, actually. I remember it was a nice grove of Jeffrey pine, and we're kind of getting near it now. It's also where I filmed my spotlight on Jeffrey pines back in 2019 when I hiked up this. So let's see. I think I'm pretty much near, I think I'm going to be near my trail departure point just about now. If I can see that big Jeffrey pine, then I'll know. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, we might have another hill to go around. If that's the case, fine, it's all good. But I know I'm getting pretty close. Once we round, especially around the west side of the peak, that's where I know I'm going to be going off trail. So it should actually be coming up fairly soon. Till then, I'll keep trekking and tracking. But it should be a little bit more around the side of the ridge. All right, see you on the next clip. All right, so apparently rounding out the west side of the ridge, or the west face of this portion of Blue Ridge. So now is where I got to start looking for where I'm going to leave the trail, start heading up that way. So I am pretty close to where I left the trail the first time I came up here. Trying to see if I can find where the Jeffrey pine is that I did a spotlight video. I'm thinking, yeah, I think I found the tree. So I'm just about almost exactly where I left the trail the first time. Did a spotlight on one of these Jeffrey pines in here. In fact, I think, if I remember correctly, I think that's the tree right there. Right up there. So, all right, well, I guess I'm going to start leaving the trail about here. Kind of this area where it almost tops out for a brief moment. Or, I wouldn't say really tops out, but kind of hugs the western slope of the ridge. So, this is where I start leaving the trail to climb up to Vincent Gap Peak. Yeah, I'm right near where I did a spotlight video on Jeffrey pine when I was hiking up Vincent Gap Peak the first time I was here, back in July 2019. So time to go head up over these open slopes. Yeah, it was one of these guys here. It was either that one or the one next to it, or a little further down. It was one of these trees here. Did a spotlight on Jeffrey pine. Okay, well, I'm gonna start worming my way up here. Might be a little bit of ceanothus waiting. I don't remember any serious bushwhacking issues. And start working my way up this. See you on the next clip. Tell you how my progress is going. All right. So I'm a little bit higher on this rise here. Shouldn't be a very long march to get up here. I've only been off trail for a couple of minutes. Just move my way through this grass, kind of watching where I'm stepping. I think I'm near the top already. Oh boy. All right. All right, I'm just about to summit. Just about to summit Vincent Gap Peak. My second time up here. All right. Almost there. Right by these trees. All right. All right. This is it. Vincent Gap Peak. It's another peak that's about 7,560 to 7,600 feet. A couple little rock ducks up here. So this is Vincent Gap Peak. Second peak of the day. Pretty glad to be up here again. Highest point is around here somewhere. But yeah, my second time up here. Again, views kind of hemmed in by the trees. But it's a nice shady summit up here, which I am very grateful for having. Especially on this warm day, as it is warming up even more. So, what I can show you is over here, looking off towards the east-southeast, Blue Ridge, one of the highest points of Blue Ridge. It's either that one or Wright Mountain. Those two are pretty close in elevation. But Wright Mountain's kind of hidden behind Blue Ridge. Plus Blue Ridge, aka Frost Benchmark. Then there's Pine Mountain, and a little more south of east, Mount San Antonio, Mount Baldy, and West Baldy right of it. So, yes, it is yet another two-summit day for me. Never done Vincent Gap Peak and Jackson Flat together. And Mount Baden-Powell is just behind us here. Kind of hard to see, and that's out looking towards the Pleasant View Ridge Wilderness area out that way. That's looking more towards the west. Oh, wait a minute, no, I'm tripping. Yeah, beautiful out there too. A lot of bobcat fire damage out that way. Yeah, Pleasant View Ridge Wilderness should be out that way. A lot of that wilderness got burnt in the bobcat fire. A lot of beautiful stands of pines and firs were taken out. But there we go, beautiful Mount Baden-Powell right there. So down this way is Vincent Gap or Vincent Gulch Divide. But I'm not going to be heading down there. I'm going to be heading back to Grassy Hollow. Jackson Flat is just over there. That's where Jackson Flat is. So this summit is close to the same elevation. I'm not sure which one is actually a little bit higher. I'm actually not sure. They're very close to the same elevation. And looking from here, they look like they're about the same elevation here and there. But it's nice to be on another lesser known peak. And that's been kind of the theme for this week. A named summit and an unofficially named summit, or an unnamed at all. This is not an official name, Vincent Gap Peak, but this is basically the start of Blue Ridge, right above Vincent Gap. So this, I believe, is considered part of Blue Ridge. It goes all the way around, curves its way towards Wright Mountain behind Blue Ridge there, Blue Ridge Summit, and then it dips down towards a saddle leading up towards Pine Mountain right up there. So yeah, I remember this from the last time I was up here. Single leaf pinion, telling us that the desert is not far away. Because a lot of times these are the trees that transition from the forest down to the desert. Beautiful Pinus monophylla up here on Vincent Gap Peak. Ooh, just got buzzed by looked like a swallowtail butterfly. So now I'm gonna go take my usual summit selfies. It's been so long since I've been to the Pleasant View Ridge Wilderness. I think 2018 was the last time I was in the Pleasant View Ridge Wilderness, or at least up on those mountains like Mount Williamson and Powell Mountain. I had some good memories out that way too. But a lot of those areas were burnt. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and put down my pack for a couple minutes and just take some time to relax and enjoy this Jeffrey Pine Crown summit. Alright, so I've left the summit and now I'm going to head back down to the PCT. I'm a little further south from where I left the trail. I think I'm going to go ahead and just make a loop out of this. I think I'm going to go head to the PCT, head down to the road, and follow the road the rest of the way back. Hopefully by doing that, it won't be so insanely hot that I regret that decision. But I can vary it up a little bit, make a small loop out of this. Alright, PCT is not that far downhill from here. So I'm going to go ahead and working my way down this. Yeah, a little more ceanothus waiting here than there was on the uphill portion, because I think I came up on the other side of this Jeffrey Pine, came up a little further north from where I am hiking now. Oh boy. Yeah, the bugs are pretty crazy today. As annoying as they are, it has definitely not ruined my zest for being out here in my beloved Angeles National Forest. Beautiful San Gabriel Mountains. This mountain range, I will always treasure my memories here, and I'm glad I've made some more memories today. Really felt good to actually hike, stretch my legs, and get on an actual hike here in the Angeles. This is really what I've been needing for a long time. Missing coming up here for such a long time. Here comes another big Jeffrey Pine right here, coming up ahead. This might have been the one I did a spotlight video highlighting this tree here. It was one of these, I know that. I think it was this one, because I remember it had kind of a flat top on it, slightly irregular on top, if I remember correctly. I think it was this tree here, but I know there's another one that was about a similar size over nearby. But I think this might have been the actual tree I did the spotlight video on, right here. Yeah, this looks like the tree. Yeah, this is a beauty. It's not extremely tall because it flattened out on top. A lot of them flatten up here on the ridges because of the winds. But this is a very girthy tree. All right, so just carefully stepping down through these pine needles. And I was gonna go find PCT and then find the road, heading back that way towards Jackson Flat and Grassy Hollow Visitor Center. Yeah, it's so beautiful here. Yeah, that's a beautiful Jeffrey Pine. Pretty sure that was the one I did a spotlight video highlighting. All right, so I am heading west towards the PCT. Should be at it fairly soon, because it's a very short walk from the PCT to the summit. just a matter of a few minutes. And if you're a faster walker, probably even faster than that. It's a little steep going up, so I kind of just took my time. Okay, so we're here back at the PCT. That's the way I came. That's the way back to Grassy Hollow if you just want to follow the PCT and make this an out and back. But I should be able to intercept the road leading me back past Jackson Flat and so forth just by going down this way, going the same direction I came from Grassy Hollow until I intercept the road. And then I could follow the road the rest of the way back. So I am going to make a narrow loop out of this hike. And it is beautiful country out here. Just look at the gullies on Mount Baden-Powell. One day, a few years ago, I think it was July 4th, 2021, I was actually going to try to climb up to Mount Burnham. It's one of the smaller peaks along Baden-Powell's ridge, between Baden-Powell and True Peak. I was going to try a cross-country way to get up there, by hiking up a gully or a slope. And it is steep. It is. I bailed out. I bailed out of that one. I was going to try to hike all the way up to either Mount Baden-Powell, Mount Burnham, or both that day. And it was one of the gullies along Angeles Crest Highway, starting at about 7,200 feet elevation. Another western whiptail. Okay, that's the third western whiptail I've seen today. Okay, I do see him here in Angeles National Forest. Great, and I'm grateful for that. I love seeing my whiptails. But so I'm just going to keep walking this. It should meet up with the junction with the road. And that road should also lead down towards Vincent Gap. But I'm not going to Vincent Gap. I'm going to stay above it and turn left on the road to head back towards A, Jackson Flat, and B, the Grassy Hollow Visitor Center to finish up this hike. Oh yeah, I remember this population of spearleaf mountain aguaceras, or spearleaf mountain dandelion. Over here. Aguaceras retrosa. So cool to see that. Alright. There's Angeles Crest Highway. I think that portion of it's closed right now. Probably between just past Grassy Hollow. It was open from Wrightwood. That's how I came up, was through Wrightwood. I think it's closed shortly past it. I have not seen one car driving along that portion there. And I know it's closed all the way to Islip Saddle. Islip Saddle. There's Mount Lewis. Been up on that peak once. That was another peak that burnt during the Bobcat fire. So we're looking kind of west right now. That's Mount Lewis, 8,396 feet. And that was so sad to see that too. That was really sad. I've been up on Mount Lewis once, and you do a really short half-mile up from Dawson Saddle. It's almost a 500-foot straight-up climb. Short, but it's tough. It's steep, and it's slippery. Ooh, a San Diego alligator lizard! A juvenile! Right there. Yeah. I think our subspecies here is a San Diego one too, I think. Yeah! That was an alligator lizard. So that's, what, 5 species of lizards I've seen today? Oh, the herping's pretty good today, I'll tell you. Boy. Okay. Well, yeah, Mount Lewis. Mount Lewis is a beautiful hike. It's short, but it is steep. And it's just as scary. It's at least as scary coming down. Because it's very steep. It's a very steep, very narrow use trail. And unfortunately, I haven't been up there since 2016. And 2020 is when the fire burnt. So it's kind of sad. I haven't been able to be up there. Maybe one day. Go back up there again. All right. See you on the next clip. So I'm heading down towards the road. All right, so as we're heading down this, now we got flannel bush coming into view. Fremontodendron californicum. This one really hasn't started blooming yet, but it does have one flower opened up right here. Flowers can get much larger than that. And these shrubs can get much larger than this too. These will probably be blooming later this month probably. They are in bud right now. And there are some here in the San Gabriel Mountains, some flannel bush specimens that are absolutely huge. Fortunately, I did my spotlight video on it back in September of 2019, the wrong time of year to do it, because it wasn't in bloom. But I don't know if I'm going to be back up this way anytime soon, because I got to save up vacation time for my October one. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a spotlight revamp on it. I got a chaparral yucca here, Hespero yucca whippley. Yep, these are found above 7,000 feet as well. Looks like it's getting its flower or inflorescence. So yeah, I remember this part of the PCT was kind of steep. Remember when I climbed up it back in 2019, it's like, whew, it's kind of steep. But it is so beautiful here. Absolutely fantastic here. And we're on the other side of the slope a little bit, so it's a little more of a south-facing slope. But still, it's pretty well wooded for a south-facing slope. So I'm going to enjoy that. Up Sierra coffeeberry, Frangula californica subspecies cuspidata. Up here on the PCT. And of course, Quercus chrysolipus, what a surprise. The omnipresent canyon live oak. For something that's not a surprise, it sure is a pleasant sight. So we're getting close to a meadow area. So we shouldn't be that far from the road junction, I believe. I don't think we're too far from where the road cuts through. When I did Vincent Gap Peak, I went up the road from Vincent Gap. I took the road up to the PCT, up to the west end of the slope, and that's where I did my little eastbound cross-country hike up the slope to the peak. And then I went down on the PCT to Vincent Gap. So this time I'm going to get back on the road, and I'm going to head this way. What a magical mountain range this is. It is so magical here. I am so happy to be back in my San Gabriels. I've never stopped pining for these mountains ever since I moved from Orange County, where I used to come out here a lot more to visit them, to San Diego County, where I can't really get out here that often. All right, so I'm going to take a little rest, short rest spot, probably bust open another water. And then I'm going to go follow this road. Should lead me towards Jackson Flat. Over here it's dirt. It should lead me over towards where I want to go. But it's time to take a little break over here. So I'm going to be heading along this. And Jackson Flat should be over that way. All right, well, I'll catch you on the next clip. All right, so I'm getting ready to depart the junction. I sat down for a couple minutes, guzzled down a bottle of water. This is the PCT that'll lead you back to Vincent Gap. So this is the PCT still, and that's where I descended right there, from up that way, up towards Vincent Gap Peak. This road will lead you back towards Vincent Gap. I believe you take this road, and I think you branch off on another road, which I want to say is, I think, Big Rock Truck Trail, I think, if I remember correctly. So you follow this, and if I remember correctly, you bear left at the junction, and it takes you back to Vincent Gap. So what I'm going to do is actually start heading this way towards Grassy Hollow. And let's see. Looks like we're going to be starting start with a nice little climb. So here we go. Here we go, folks. Start making my way towards, not Vincent Gap, but start heading towards Jackson Flat and Grassy Hollow. There's our beautiful Angeles Crest Highway. just below us. And there's a PCT kind of snaking its way downhill. Now, I'm expecting this is going to be the more sun-exposed part of the hike. So I think this is going to be mostly on a south-facing slope. So it'll probably be pretty warm and dry on this one. But look at that magnificent chaparral yucca. Full bloom. Right now. Here in early June. Alright. See you along the way for more updates. So if you're hiking up here in late spring and early summer, you start capturing or getting a whiff of a kind of like a grape soda smell. Your mind's not tripping. It's this plant here. This is the higher elevation. This is the higher elevation subspecies of grape soda lupine. This is Southern Mountain grape soda lupine. This is Lupinus excubitus subspecies Astromontanus. And I did a spotlight video on the saddle between a random peak and Pacifico Mountain back in last time I hiked here in the San Gabriels, actually. That was April of 2022. But yeah, I started catching a whiff of grape soda. And it's this plant here, and it's full, magnificent bloom. Oh yeah, it's in full bloom right now. And I can smell it. The fragrance is almost making me thirsty, to be honest with you. And I just drank a bottle of water. I think I'm pretty well hydrated, but it smells gonna make me thirsty again. There's a lot of it growing on this slope. Absolutely spectacular display this year. So this is the Southern Mountain lupine or Southern Mountain grape soda lupine. Lupinus excubitus subspecies Astromontanus. Very delightful herbaceous perennial, ephemeral perennial. In other words, I think during the wintertime, usually the stems die back to the roots that persist. Look at it. This mountainside has absolutely erupted in the lupine. Absolutely insane. I love it. So looks like I got a nice little uphill trek ahead of me. So I'll go ahead and shut down the video and keep you posted on my progress as I start closing out a loop. So, as I usually hike Mount Laguna, that's closer to where I live, living in San Diego County. So I'm used to seeing the woolly or the southern subspecies or variant of Yerba Santa. So this right here is the regular hairy Yerba Santa. This is Areodictyon trichocalyx variety trichocalyx. This is the variant you see up here in the San Gabriel Mountains. The variant that I see in San Diego County when I'm hiking Mount Laguna is Trichostemma Areodictyon. Trichostemma, that's blue curls. I usually see Areodictyon trichocalyx variety lanatum. And the difference is the underside of the leaves are a lot whiter and a little fuzzier looking than on this typical variant here that we find here in the San Gabriel Mountains. It's a very abundant plant here in the Angeles National Forest. The variety lanatum is the one I typically see when I'm hiking Mount Laguna. It even goes down the desert side of the mountains as well. So yeah, this is Areodictyon trichocalyx variety trichocalyx. Typical variant of the hairy Yerba Santa. Of course, we got Ericomeria nauseosa. A lot of rabbit brush here along this road. Now it's starting to level out a little bit. Still heading uphill. But I can see where there was asphalt here in some spots, pieces of asphalt, and sometimes. So this might have been paved many decades ago. It is paved when you get closer to Jackson Flat. When we get over there and by Grassy Hollow, it'll be much better paved. Look at the stupendous views down Mine Gulch. Down there. That's looking down Mine Gulch. I can see trails, 2 trails there and there. That's down to Mine Gulch, and that's the trail to Bighorn Mine. That's a trip I've yet to take here in the San Gabriels. Either one of them. If you want to do Mine Gulch, it's an upside down hike. In other words, you go downhill and then you return uphill. So if you do something like that, make sure you conserve your energy and pick a day with moderate temperatures. You'll be climbing up that gulch in the summer. Probably be a pretty toasty experience, because you start at 6,580 feet at Vincent Gap, and you're going downhill. So it means you're going from moderate elevation of 6,580 feet, going down to lower and hotter elevations. And then the other trail, the upper one, Bighorn Mine, doesn't lose or gain too much elevation. So it's a relatively easy hike. I think it's about a 4-mile round trip to Bighorn Mine. 2 out and 2 back. Mine Gulch, that trail, should be able to take that to get down to Tom Vincent's cabin from well over a century ago. Guess he I guess killed somebody. I think he hurt somebody in self-defense, offed somebody in self-defense, and then fled from somewhere back east or something. Came out west. I believe he would have been found not guilty, if I remember correctly. And then he built a cabin in that cleft down there, down Mine Gulch, a long time ago. Never been to the cabin. Probably be a really good experience one day. Piece of our San Gabriel Mountains history. There's a lot of history to these mountains. And one channel where you can really follow that is this one guy. His name's Alan, but his channel name is Pharaoh, and he's a very extremely knowledgeable person of the San Gabriel Mountains. Very knowledgeable. He knows just about all the nooks and crannies from the lower elevations up to the high areas too. So if you want to see some videos, he also rates hiking gear and camping gear as well. He often hosts these big campouts near the San Gabriel River, East Fork, and everything like that, and sometimes up here in the high country. Very knowledgeable. Sometimes he does these crazy off-trail hikes where he's way out in the middle of nowhere, showing off how fantastic our mountain range is. Nice cairn. Look at that. That's pretty good. All right. So I'm at the junction, near the junction where I can access the PCT. Going this way. Just down below us is the PCT. Very short distance. This is a little access trail to get to it. PCT is just right down there. So, all right. So yeah, if you love the San Gabriel Mountains like I do, whenever you can't get to them, you can get to them vicariously through Pharaoh's channel. Very highly suggest checking out his channel. Very Very interesting person. He knows all about the wild edibles. He gets these incredible snake. He finds incredible snakes. So he gets these incredible snake sightings. So, and he's a steward of the land too. He often leads campouts where people come with a gang of trash bags. They meet up and go out and collect the pollution that so many thoughtless people dump into these canyons and hills and streams. So, very highly recommended. Check out his channel if you want to learn an incredible amount of the history, the scenery, and all those small random canyons that he hikes up off trail. Mining history and everything. Good, very good source of information. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and bug went right in my mouth. See you on the next clip. Oh boy. Just about to join the more paved portion. This is where it's paved. Back to Jackson Flat area and then to Grassy Hollow. Yeah, I was talking, bug went right in my mouth. Tickled my throat, had to start coughing. Still feel a slight tickle right now too. All right. So yes, we are paved now. All right. See you when I'm getting back. All right. Looks like I'm topping out for now. Start going downhill. I've been pretty much going uphill the whole time since leaving the PCT. Nothing really extraordinarily steep. Excuse me, man. There we go. It's a sign towards Jackson Flat. Ay. Still got that tickle from when that bug flew in my mouth. Boy, it's annoying. Now, I'm starting to go downhill. I don't think we're that far from the summit of Jackson Flat, actually. Yeah, it was a nice bit of climbing to get back up here. So a fair amount of climbing. Like I said, nothing extraordinarily steep, thankfully. A couple of moderate spots. But after 3 days of hiking, I haven't done 3 days straight hiking in a long time. I am kind of getting tired and kind of need to start making my way back. But man, I do not regret making this extra trip today. I really do not regret it one bit. Very much the opposite is my sentiment. I'm glad I came out here to Angeles National Forest. Right here in the San Gabriels. Last time I was actually in Angeles National Forest, period, was in a different mountain range. Liebre Mountain, near the Sierra Plona range area. Sierra Plona, Liebre, Burnt Peak. I hiked up Liebre back in October. I did a hike up in October up to Liebre Mountain. And that was with my friend Brett. And also hit a small mound on the way there, Sandberg Benchmark, which is not really a peak, but is a small mound as you get towards the Liebre crest. Oh man, I've missed these mountains so much. Oh, it's so beautiful up here. So peaceful. It is such a different world up here than it is down in the suburban and urban sprawl. It's pretty popular. A lot of these areas are pretty popular here, but it's such a different vibe. We've got a major metropolitan area down below us, Los Angeles, which you won't be able to see because I see it's like the leftover haze from the marine layer that burnt off earlier. But it's so hazy you can't even see anything down there. Just a big murky soup of haze. And people mistaken that for smog. It's actually haze. Smog is really supposed to be invisible, if I understand correctly. Haze, I think it might be a byproduct of it, but I think smog is supposed to be invisible, I think. So people say, oh, look at all the smog. I believe you're actually just looking at haze. I think smog's invisible. I believe. But I think the haze is what people are really seeing when they're looking out. If you look out that way, normally you'd be able to see the LA basin. Probably the more inland part of the LA basin down there, but I don't see anything. I don't see any structures of anything out there. Usually when there's a strong marine layer inversion, the pollutant particles get stuck in the inversion layer, and also the water vapor, and it creates that big hazy view. All right, it's enough yapping for a few minutes. I'll see you down the way. Shouldn't be a ridiculous amount more time to get back. It's a nice, easy, cruisy stroll down the hill, and it's feeling good now. So as I'm strolling along on my gentle descent here, you notice a lot of the Jeffrey pines here are swept. And that's because this area can get very windy, and that's why these trees are flat-topped and bent in the leeward direction. That's why a lot of these trees are really short and literally bent backwards, because the prevailing wind comes out of roughly this direction. As a general rule, for what I understood, is that onshore wind blows about 85% of the time, and offshore wind blows about 15% of the time. I believe that was the breakdown statistic that I read somewhere. Forget where I read it, but onshore flow is 85% of the time, and offshore flow is 15% of the time. Well, this kind of gives you an idea. This is what they call flagging on the trees, when they're bent in the leeward direction. Any growth that starts out on the windward direction is desiccated and dies, or just doesn't happen at all. So on the more leeward side, the more protected side, is where you have the growth. Is where you have more of the growth. And any growth that comes out on the windward side is going to be very stunted. May not last very long either. But that's why you see even these younger trees here are starting to get that windswept shape. It's very common here, especially along ridge lines, and we're on a ridge line, especially the slopes that are facing the prevailing wind direction. So yeah, that one right there, you can see it's just getting it a little bit. That one you can see it favors the left side a little bit more. So the prevailing wind comes out of the south or southwest. And that's kind of why we have the trees, and when the trees bent back a little bit. Okay, so I still got a little ways to go, actually. I still have to past that over there, that's where the PCT makes kind of a horseshoe shape curve. It joins the road, and then it leaves the road almost like maybe about 10 steps later to go around the backside of the ridge, where we start getting that really lush forest and everything. And also that side's more protected from the prevailing wind patterns. That's why the trees are really tall and luscious and relatively straight. It's because of the wind. Smell more of that grape soda. It's more of that southern mountain grape soda lupine. Once again, we're getting another patch of it here. It seems to like these open, sometimes disturbed hillsides, these road cuts and everything, where you seem to see a lot of this, and sometimes disturbed areas in the chaparral and forest as well. So yeah, looks like I got still a little hike ahead of me, but that's all right. I came out here to hike, and so I'm doing it. All right, well, I'll see you on the next clip. Here's where the PCT kind of cuts through after the switchback. This is from earlier. Came up from that way, went around that way. But like I said, closing out the loop. Ooh, look at this old mountain sagebrush. Artemisia tridentata subspecies vasiana. Look at this. Look at the old trunks on this beauty. Yeah, they can live for quite a while. All right, so a little further down the way is going to be yet another junction where the PCT actually merges onto the road. You'll be seeing that pretty soon as I work my way down this way. So we're starting to go up a little bit again. Pretty gentle though. It's been nice, nice downhill stretch for a while, but I'll be passing by more of these southern mountain grape soda lupines. They're just spectacular up here. A lot of shrubby canyon live oaks over here too. Got their new spring leaves on them. Of course, they still have their old leaves because they're evergreen, aka live oaks. All right. I'll see you. Oh, there's a western whiptail. It's a western whiptail. Another one. Right here in the shade. Aspidoscelis tigris stagenegeri. Yeah, that's a western whiptail right there, buddy. Beautiful lizard. It's not closely related to the other lizards, the Sceliporus and Udas. In other words, the fence, sagebrush, spiny lizards, and side blotch lizards, respectively. So that's my fourth western whiptail. I think that's probably the best footage of it. Best footage I was able to get so far. There's another lizard that went inside the lupine. So yeah, I've seen 4 whiptails today. I think that's the most western whiptails I've ever seen in one shot, one hike. So yeah, the lizard herping's pretty good today. I saw that one from a distance, and I knew by the profile of it was a western whiptail because they're long and they have very long tails. Very long tails in proportion to their bodies. Much longer than fence lizards, whose tails can be fairly long too. But yeah, the spiny fence sagebrush lizards are all in the horned lizard or spiny and horned lizard family of Phrenicematidae. However, the whiptails, here we have western whiptail up here, and then we have orange-throated whiptail down towards San Diego County, and those ones are in the Teiidae family. So yeah, here's again where the PCT merges with the road. So here we go. Follows the road for, I guess, more than 10 steps. Maybe about 50 yards. And then it winds its way around. Should be able to get back to the visitor center, Grassy Hollow. But, like I said, I'm making a loop out of this. So I'm going to follow the road the rest of the way, just to vary up the scenery. Maybe I'll get some more whiptail sightings. All right, keep you updated. It shouldn't be that much longer before I'm back. I'm still on the road, heading back to Grassy Hollow. I know it's a little side path here. I just want to see where this leads really quickly. It's actually a little scuffed in use trail here. Ooh, it's pretty cool. Probably just leads to a little short lookout. Enough foot traffic over here. Heads over towards Vincent Gap Peak. Might be a little viewpoint up here. We can hear a car down there. I don't know how much further you can go. Oh yeah. It's a good little lookout up here. There's the road to Grassy Hollow. We're definitely well past Jackson Flat by now. Yeah. Get that view towards Big Bad Iron Mountain right there. Good view. And of course, one of the shoulders, I think the east ridge of Baden-Powell. Actually, the east ridge of Baden-Powell. I've seen a video by this group called Hike Likers who hiked up that, I think it was up that very east ridge right there. Hiked up from near the Bighorn Mine and climbed up that way cross country to Baden-Powell. That's supposed to be a real toughie. That video, they'd be tired looking at them doing it. I haven't seen them upload video in years, unfortunately, because they had some pretty cool videos. But yeah, one of these days, maybe it would be a cool way to try to get up there, but that'd be a really tough hike. And probably very sun exposed. All right, so a nice little lookout here. Okay, pretty good. I want to go head back to the road and make my final half mile or so. Last I saw, I was looking down on Angeles Crest Highway. I saw the sign for Grassy Hollow, so it had half a mile. So I'm assuming it's probably close to the same. Maybe a little bit less because we're on a more direct route. Oh well. Should be back pretty soon. All right. I am just about back at Grassy Hollow. Just about ready to end this hike. You can see my car. I can see where my car is parked. I can see where the visitor center is through the trees. This is a very beautiful hike out here in Angeles National Forest. Either hike it from Vincent Gap to Vincent Gap Peak and Jackson Flat, or if you want a little bit less elevation gain, hike it from here, but you will have a fair amount of uphill on the way back. But we all need a challenge, and I took my challenge today and I enjoyed it. And it's probably easier because this has a less net elevation gain than from Vincent Gap. You're starting at 800 feet higher here, or 750 feet higher here. So this is basically going to do it for my hiking video. There's where I'm parked right there. Very nice day out here in the Angeles National Forest. Great day out here in the San Gabriels. Glad I made it out. My last official hike up to Pacifico, I had been sick about a week and a half before, and I hadn't been hiking for a few weeks because of that. And then my eyes were bugging me that day. My eyes were bothering me for some reason really badly. I guess I got a lot of sunscreen drip in my eyes or something, and it's really annoying. So as beautiful as it was kind of rough because of that. But yeah, this is going to do it for my hike. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this hike as much as I did. Whenever this is open, stop by and say hello. Great place. So that'll basically do it for this one, and thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next hiking adventure.